will tell you some ways that how can we optimize our program, as there are a number of ways, but I am discussing only few so that we can keep in mind these points while we are programming when we are coding a program. First of all, using inline functions and macros in a program. So but before going to it, I just want to explain a function, what is function and macros. Functions are mainly a block of code that is written mainly outside the main, where whenever we want to use it we just call it by its name and use it. So and macros are basically are also a block of code, and if we don't want to write a specific code again and again, we just write that specific code in the macros block, give it a name, and whenever we want to use it we just go there and just write its name whenever we want to use it and wherever we want to use it. Okay, now the difference between the macros and function is basically in function we are calling the function, and in macros we are just embedding the specific code. uh, and now going for the inline functions and macros. So when we are using inline functions and macros, inline function is mainly about doing it, just embedding that function. We don't need to call it, we just embedding the function at that position where we called it. Okay, so it is just embedding it, not calling it. And in macros it is also doing the same. So what it will do, it will boost our performance, because whenever we want to call a function it will just go to that function. First of all it will search where the function is by its name, and then just call it, uh, just store some specific memory for it, for its reference, and when the implementation is over it will just come back to the specific code from where it was called. So it will take time calling and referencing, storing, and then coming back to that code. So by using inline keyword we can just embed that code to the portion where we called, so it will be fast. And the macros is also doing the same, it will just embed the things, uh, embed the code where we want to use it. No doubt it will improve the performance, but it will take more memory, because in referencing it will just go to other block of memory and call that specific code or implement that specific code and execute it. So but using inline functions and macros it will embed the whole code there and that only. uh, Now the difference between if inline functions and macros are seem to be same, but they are not actually same. The key difference between them is that inline function is type safe, and whereas macros are not. Looping, this is a second way that how can we improve our program. It is just a simple thing, but we should keep in mind before we are coding for it. So here we are using for loops by declaring int I is equal to 0 and I less than 1 million and I plus plus, and going for this n is equal to a. And in the second video we just declare and initialize the int I and use it in the loop. So what is the main difference here? So in the first portion the loop is in every loop it is, it every single loop it is initializing the I, and in the second loop it is not initializing at all, it just initialize it once and just using it. So using the second method of looping is better way than the first. If we have a huge amount of data it will just boost up performance. The third point is using register storage classes. uh, the registers are basically the CPU registers we are referencing to. So any variable that we are using and using it in and keeping it in the register will definitely boost our performance. So we, because the CPU is able to fast get the value faster from the register which are residing just near to it. And the main use we can and the place where can we use it in loops. Efficient use of cache. If you are a web programmer and we just and have a huge amount of data, and that data specifically changes from time, or it can not change specifically with the time, but in both the cases we can use cache. So if we are using efficiently, if we are using cache efficiently, we can boost our web platform, and we don't have to and we can improve a web platform significantly. So basically cache is something that store that specific value on the client machine. If you are accessing a website from a server, so all the data that are coming from the server through the network will store to the client machine, and whenever we want to use that same data, we don't have to call the server. It will just look into our client's machine and fetch from that data from the machine only. So we are reducing we are efficiently using our bandwidth and reducing the network traffic. uh, Using making multi-threaded application is really important. uh, Basically threads are small asynchronous program that are independent to each other. They do not interfere in it. They might interfere in exchanging in sharing the resources that create sometimes deadlock, but it is uh, it is a high level concept that we will come in our later videos. But for now, threads are small asynchronous program. So it can be used for handling different types of tasks, and if I have made a small application and it have to make 10 different things, it have to implement 10 different things. I don't have to write that code sequentially that do first, second, third, fourth, and then up to 10th. I can just distribute these 10 tasks to the 10 threads, so it will independently execute that uh, thing, that code, and it will just prevent your main program from hanging. So we should use threads in our applications. Do not use goto. Basically goto, whenever we want to go to particular label, we just use goto and it goes to a particular label, but it is not so easy for it, for the compiler, or during the runtime, that it is not just like it will just refer to the particular label. It have to search a lot, and if after searching, if the label is exactly matching, it will just implement that code and that coming back to it. It takes time, two times more than calling a function. Basically we use pointers, but okay, but the main basic use of main purpose of using the pointers is sharing. Uh, if i if i declare a particular value, and but address of the particular value to the pointer, it will just point to that particular address and fetch the value. Now if any other program or any other function want to use that specific variable, we don't have to transfer that particular value to that function. We just have to use the address where that specific value is stored. So it is basically shallow copy. We just using that value by address, and decopy is something that we are using that value by that particular variable value by its value. We just transferring the whole value. Thank you for watching this video.